Joining us now on the line, Joe DiGenova, legal analyst, former U.S. Attorney to the District of Columbia. Joe, it appears that we're going to hear from Lois Lerner. Now, Lois Lerner is the person who was caught up in this IRS hassling of conservative groups. She came before a committee, the House Oversight Committee, and she pleaded the Fifth. But before she pleaded the Fifth, she made a statement. And now they're talking about bringing her back. Here's Darrell Issa, chairman of the House Committee.
Lois Lerner under subpoena to testify again this coming Wednesday. Her lawyer said you can call her, but she's not going to testify. She's not going to answer any questions, continue to take the Fifth. But I understand you have some late-breaking news.
We do. Her attorney indicates now that she will testify. We've been a back-and-forth negotiation, but quite frankly, we believe that the evidence we've gathered causes her, in her best interest, to be someone who should testify.
But let me make sure. Lois Lerner, former IRS official who took the Fifth last May, will testify before your committee.
According to her attorney.
All right, Joe, what's going on with all this?
I have no idea. Lois Lerner waived her Fifth Amendment privilege by making that very lengthy statement about not violating any rules, regulations, or laws. So it was clear that if she were to take the Fifth this time, she would be held in contempt, and there would be a referral to the Justice Department, and there would also be a lawsuit filed by the House to enforce the subpoena. That may be what's at work here. It's very unclear from what the chairman said why she is doing this. It would be in her interest to take the Fifth and litigate, but apparently she's made a decision. She may not want to spend the money that it takes to litigate all of this because she's not, her fees are not being paid by the government. She's paying these now on her own at this point since she has resigned from the government. I don't get it. Why she's going to testify now? Darrell Issa says they built a case against her. Well, that's a reason not to testify, not a reason to testify. So I will be interested to see whether or not she gives full and unabated testimony. We don't know yet because he said they've been negotiating. I don't know what in the world they're negotiating. So, again, we'll see. I remain a skeptic about the amount of information she's going to give.
Hey, Joe, last week we talked to you about Benghazi, and you had some pretty strong words about Mike Morell. This is the former CIA deputy, I believe, who you said was the one who floated this idea that the YouTube video was responsible for the attacks in Benghazi, even though, according as you said, he knew otherwise. Apparently, there's some connections here that are disconcerting for those of us who were hoping for Mike Rogers and the House to look into this a little deeper.
Well, it looks as if not only are we having a snowstorm, but we're having a snow job from the House Intelligence Committee.
I thought you were going to say it's another kind of storm.
Over the weekend, some new details came out that are disturbing members in the House and Senate, and the details are these. Mike Rogers, as you know, is chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. His chief of staff for the last few years was a fellow named Mike Allen. In 2013, in August, Mike Allen left the committee to go to work for none other than Beacon Global Strategies. That's where Mr. Raines is up in New York, Hillary Clinton's go-to guy. August 2013, same month, same year, Mike Morell leaves the CIA and goes to, bingo, Beacon Global Strategies. We now have found out that Mr. Morell and Mr. Allen have been friends since at least 2007. In fact, if you go to Google Images and pop in their two names, you get a series of photographs at various social and happy events in D.C. It was Mike Allen who was chief of staff when Mike Morell came up to testify about Benghazi and allegedly lied to both houses of Congress. And it was among the staff on the House Intelligence Committee, there was a complete belief that Morell had lied. But the leadership of the committee did not want to pursue perjury charges against him. What is happening now is that a lot of members are beginning to think that Mike Rogers has to address this conflict. This is a very serious conflict of interest. His former chief of staff is now working with Mike Morell up at Beacon Strategies. People have been wondering, why has Mike Rogers been so slow to issue subpoenas, to have hearings, to get documents? And some folks are very, very upset. And when I say folks, I'm talking about members of Congress in both houses. So this is going to be something that Rogers is going to have to address.
Wow.
And there's no way he's not going to be able to address it. And a lot of people are saying that because of his relationship with Mike Allen and the relationship with Mike Morrell, Chairman Rogers, has to recuse himself from this matter involving Mike Morrell. This is going to heat up. It's very unfortunate. But if you go back and look at Benghazi, you look at everything and say, why are the Republicans slow-walking these investigations and not issuing subpoenas? Certainly, forget the IRS, forget all the other things. Look at this.
Yeah.
This has never made any sense, why the House Intelligence Committee would not issue subpoenas. If this is the real explanation, there's going to be a reaction among the Benghazi survivor families that is going to be horrific for Mr. Rogers.
Well, we'll keep a close eye on this. Joe, I was reminded of Benghazi this weekend. Remember, after the Benghazi disaster and the attack on our consulate and our annex there, the most important thing the President of the United States thought he should do was to get on his plane and go to Las Vegas and attend a fundraiser. This weekend, as Russian troops were entering the Crimean Peninsula, the most important thing the President thought he should do after he gets up and has a little press conference and says, tut, tut, there will be costs, was he went across town and went to a DNC winter meeting and encouraged everybody to really, really enjoy their happy hour.
As the Washington Post editorial board said this morning, the President's foreign policy is a fantasy. The President's timing on using political matters to kind of use as a coda or a footnote to what's going on has been an embarrassment, and he has been excused about it all along by the mainstream media and particularly the Washington Post. The President's this is really so venal with everything going on in the world to make such a joke about going to a political event in such a public way is an embarrassment to the United States. And after watching our Secretary of State on television all weekend and watching his bloviating, and there's no other word for it, I mean, Putin has won.
Right.
And the American foreign policy is in shambles, and everybody, including the Washington Post, knows it. The President is a fantasist and a fabulist, and he loves himself.
All right, we'll leave it right there. Joe DiGenova, thank you very much.
So this is now officially happy hour with the Democratic Party.